Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for another conversation for consciousness here on Awake TV Network. I am so grateful to have you joining us today with a dear new friend of mine who we're going to be talking about, who is one of the co founders of Vibravision. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and read to you a little bit about Nate's bio and how it was that he and his brother co founded a company that helps people to connect to the energy of seeing without eyesight. And we'll talk more about that in today's show. So, Nate Zeleznick is the president and co founder of Vibravision, which merges ancient energetic martial arts with modern science and training technology to offer the most advanced personal energy management system on the planet. Vibravision is the next stage of personal evolution. Over the past 20 years, he has personally mastered the energetic arts and co founded the only U.S. school allowed to train in these capabilities. He has received validation from medical and scientific professionals and established the Vibravision Foundation, which teaches blind people to energetically sense their surroundings as if they had sight. He is a sought after speaker, trainer, and leader in the spiritual community. Nate, I am so grateful that our mutual friend Steve Young brought us together and that we're able to play in the sandbox of consciousness together.
As am I, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm
Yes,
honored to be on your show.
it's such a pleasure. I cannot wait till a day when I can join you and your brother for one of the programs. I remember last year when my dear friend Steve Young, who introduced us, was on a retreat. He was heading to the
Mhm.
first one of your events that he was going to attend. And since then, I've had many other friends go through it, Amy and Amanda, and a few others who all just rave about it. So please, Nate,
Yeah.
tell us about how it was that you and your brother came to be able to harness this technology and to bring it to the United States.
Yes, I would love to. I'm sure that all of your viewers are very familiar with synchronicities in the quantum
Yeah.
field and the possibility of everything, and that we, through our thoughts and through our emotions, call into being those things that are going to lead us on our path in specific timelines. And well, that actually, you can't tell it by looking at me, but I come from a very long line of servant leaders and healers and mystics. So all the way back to the creator of the Kabbalah on my father's side, I'm a direct descendant of that rabbi, and as is my brother, of course. And so it's in our genes to be in the spiritual realm and to be healers, to be teachers, to be leaders. And so I've always had a very interesting spiritual sense where I started having out of body experiences when I was a teenager. I didn't know what that was about, but then as I started to really discover what those are for, and is what um, sorry, I do have a very geriatric cat. So for the viewers out there,
Oh.
my son, who's 18, he says hi. He's a cat. He's voting age now. Um, and so uh, when these things started happening for me, I didn't know what was happening to me. And so, as I started to discover that these are natural phenomena, that all beings have the ability to do this, but most of us lose this in our teenage years, I really went in deeper into this. And I always had this sense, what are these things, these chakras, these energy centers that I can feel? What are these meridians, these things in my body that I can actually feel and move energy through? Well, when I was 23 years old, I came across a article in a black belt magazine that guaranteed me inner power in 2 weeks, or I got my money back. And I was like, I'm American. I want chi instantly. I don't want the whole meditating in a monastery thing for decades. And I got this VHS tape and a little manual that didn't have anything of use in it, but the tape showed blindfolded people who were running through obstacle courses, and they were fighting blindfolded. And it even showed military people shooting targets out of people's hands with the hoods over their heads. And I thought that magicians do that. So, but when I saw blind people on this presentation doing demonstrations for royal families of Oman, I just was like, wait a minute, there's something that really speaks to me about this. And the next day is when Spirit called me. And I was stopped right in front of the Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind, which is one of the largest blind schools in the country. And there was a blind woman with her guide dog about to cross the street. And I don't want to sound dramatic, but it was really a life or death situation, what happened. So when the sounds for the, going across the street happened, took place, the dog started across the street and it led her face first into a light pole. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, what if I was doing 50 miles an hour and that dog had done that at the wrong time? And then it dawned on me, and it really dawned on me as a true epiphany. I wonder if those Indonesian people could help her. I had never met a blind person. I had no blindness in my family. I had no connection to the blind community, but I knew this is something I had to do. It was just such a strong calling. And so I, along with my brother, Mike, sponsored the very first demonstration and the first team of the Vibravision skill, which is part of a larger martial arts organization called Merpati Putih, which means white dove. Merpati Putih, and it sounds funny, but I thought that was very interesting, having been a longtime martial artist and Mike having numerous black belts already in different styles. To find a mascot, if you will, for a martial art that is the symbol of peace and justice and not something like aggressive, like a black tiger or a red dragon or something, it really intrigued us. And when we found out that this organization had a foundation for blind people already, I was just very enamored with the idea that I could become a Jedi, or I could help other people become Jedis. Because I always wanted to be a ninja and a Jedi. I call it a ninjedi. I mean, it's just a good mashup there. And I always wanted to be that. And I didn't think that it was actually possible without being one of the chosen who was, could go to India or go to Japan or China and live in a monastery and be trained. And it required complete sacrifice of everything else in our life that we in America really hold dear. Like, I don't know, going out to the movies and having having romantic partners and things like this, So, and friendship circles and all the things that we take for granted, but a lot of people, the ascetics, do give up in order to reach these different states of consciousness and abilities. And I just decided that wasn't going to be for me. So when we brought them over here and they brought blind people with them, they brought two blind people that they could do anything that you and I can do without, their eyes are white, they don't, this exactly what you think of when you think of a blind person's eyes. They don't have pupils. They don't have irises. They're clouded over. One was blind since 1 year old. The other person was blind since he was 3. And they were both in their 30s at this time. And they came into my house. They cooked us dinner. They told us, they described what was on the TV. They told us what we were wearing. They did anything. They were driving my car. and we look at these things and go, oh, it's impossible. But that's one thing about the Merpati Putih and the Vibravision method is it is a method. It's not something that you have to have a belief structure where you were brought up in a society that believes that. We've spent the last 23 years bringing this method to America because it is a point A to point, holy crap, method that people can do. And anybody has the ability to follow this method. And it actually has so many more benefits besides just the expanded awareness. That is one aspect, but just the physical aspect for athletes, for people who are, say, suffering, well, they are healing from different diseases. If they are somebody who wants to simply awaken their intuition and make better business decisions, this covers such a wide gamut of our potential. It's unique. There's nothing like it in the world. And it's a breath work and energy work. We don't actually teach the martial arts to people who want to learn Vibravision, because if you look at, say, our YouTube channel and you see us breaking big stacks of steel and stone, sometimes just barely touching it, maybe using just one finger or using a piece of paper and breaking steel bars because we're putting our energy into that. Well, a lot of people might think, oh, I don't want to have to do that. And I don't blame them. It's hard. It's really, really difficult training. So the Vibravision has now been separated. So the techniques that help us develop this multisensory ability are what is trained in our 5-day workshops and also in our online programs now. And we're going to start with 2-day programs coming up the end later this year so that people can come in for a weekend and learn how to be superhuman and then take that out into their daily life and have a real practice that anytime they want to feel awesome, it takes 5 minutes or less. And we do let people know, only do these on the days you want to feel awesome. On the days you don't want to feel awesome, that's okay. Just forget them. But in 5 minutes or less, you can change the chemicals in your body. You can change the energy in your body. You can change the attitude that you have. You can, I mean, it's amazing how many levels this can affect people positively on. And we just love doing what we're doing. And now, since COVID is really kind of quieting down, we're having more and more people come to us, or our events are filling quickly, and we're able to actually move closer and closer to our mission, which is to affect and positively influence the health and the spirituality of 1 billion people or more.
Oh, beautiful, Nate. I mean, it's so incredible. I cannot wait to personally get to try this out. And I can hear what a lot of our listeners and viewers are thinking, which is give us a taste, Nate. Is there something you could share with us today that might give us a taste of the experience?
Absolutely. Well, since it is a very detailed method, we have a free gift for anybody that wants to actually try this. So it's a class with me where you get to go through an energy development, energy flowing, energy sensing, and energy projection exercise along with a beautiful meditation. And that's at our website at vibravision.com at the bottom. Everybody can go there and get that free gift. And some people get that free gift and they just do it every single day because they notice such a difference, especially if they're a massage therapist or a Reiki master, an internal healer, a shaman. We've had so many energy masters come to us and they're just like, this is the next level of all energy work because you can do it and strengthen yourself at will. And it really, even if you're not in the best mental state, like sometimes, meditation's hard if we have other things on our mind. This gets you so embodied so quickly that you find that silence faster than any other way that I've ever heard of and any of them have ever heard of. And so, yes, that's the thing that I would recommend for everybody is we all have this ability and we have a free gift for people to actually start to feel it. And so they can go get that right now.
That's amazing. So it's vibravision.com. And where you said it's at the bottom of the website, is there a
Mhm.
particular link that they should click on?
It's just a little form you fill out for a free gift. It's just a little opt-in form, and then we'll send that right out to your inbox. And then it takes about 45 minutes if you want to do the whole thing. And that's with the explanation. But once you know it, you know it. And so then it will take about 3 to 4 minutes is all every single morning. And it's a way to start your day where it's like having a supercharger on an already amazing day. And if you're not having an amazing day, it's the thing that will help raise your consciousness and your vibration up so that you have at least, at the very least, a good day. And you can build upon that for sure. Yeah.
I love that idea, Nate. I mean, I think we all, from time to time, with all of the different obstacles and challenges and human things that happen to us in the world, there are days where sometimes you're like crawling out of bed. You're like forcing yourself to get out. I have a friend the other day I saw for dinner, and she's like, oh, the struggle was real. I got myself out of bed by 11 a.m.
Oh,
But we're human beings. And I think the greatest thing is wherever you're at on your journey, it's important to be compassionate. Be compassionate to yourself and towards the other. Actually, that same night, I was having a dinner with these friends and there was a kerfuffle, if we call it that. I don't know if anybody uses the word kerfuffle
I love that word.
but it does exist. Go Google it. It's a real word, and it was beautiful because in the breakdown is where the breakthrough happens. So two people met for the first time, and there was friction, and things happened, and out of that, they both walked away from the experience with beautiful gifts. And I think that kind of ties in. I don't know why I'm being inspired to share that, Nate. Though I think that does tie into what we're talking about. Is that even if we're given something that might be perceived as an obstacle. For example, some people going through blindness since birth or at some point in their life having a trauma, there are experiences that could be traumatizing, and we can either let that trauma run our lives, or we can take the reins of our own consciousness and our own capacity and vibration to guide ourselves whatever direction we want to go, rather than being at the effect of all the situations and circumstances around us.
Yes, yes. Well, I live here in Utah, which is the capital, or I should say, we hold the top spot for antidepressant use in the United States. And, there are so many things where our body produces these chemicals naturally anyway. And so if we're getting them from exogenous sources, meaning outside of us, or endogenous sources, meaning within us, it still is something that is going to help balance us out. So if you can do it the natural route, you can do it within yourself. It's always better than taking a pill that have side effects, because I don't really believe there are side effects. I only believe in direct effects, because if it affects you, it is not a side effect, it's a direct effect, right? And I actually, that's a quote from Joe Dispenza, definitely a hero of mine, a very wise man. And I also like the fact that what he's doing as well is so much of the science behind consciousness, which we have been doing as well, in the neuroscience and the quantum physics realm. And to be able to take yourself into a new state of mind and a state of being consciously, and that's what I mean is consciously, we're, instead of at the effect of our environment, we are affecting our own environment, which, when it comes down to it, we can't control things that may happen outside of us. All we can control is our own response. And I say response instead of reaction, because reaction is what a lot of people talk about, is you can only control the way you react to something, but reaction is without consciousness. If you think about it, it's an instinct, or it's like I said, a reaction instead of a response. And a response indicates that we're consciously making a plan toward that, rather than just doing what comes unconsciously, or our limbic system says, I'm freaking out, and here's what I'm doing in order to, well, survive. If you look at it that way, as far as the chemicals that are being produced, is we're in a state of fight or flight a lot of the time. And so the things that happen with this Vibravision method, because it is such a unique breath work method, is we've been noticing, well, for many, many years, people have reported things like their asthma going away after a couple of months of doing it, allergies, not having allergies anymore, resistance to viruses and bacteria in a big way, but then also things like our blood pressure going down, people with hypertension having that come down. They've reported there are so many benefits to this, because as we affect our physical body, we'll also affect our energy body. And that's where I think, unfortunately, some methodologies don't focus on the entire organism of a human being and our consciousness, and they focus only on the meditation, but not on the fitness part. But if you meditate and your body is ill, it's so much harder to meditate and get into those states of expanded awareness or mystical experience or internal healing, if you are constantly kind of almost battling yourself by not keeping your physical body healthy. Well, to heal yourself, it's kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, maybe 3 steps back. And so this method puts everything into place. And so a lot of people combine them. So they'll do their yoga, and then they'll do their meditations, and then they'll do their shamanistic work, or the whatever, and they'll combine those things. And this is just all in one, in a unique package that gets results quickly. So I love the fact that we have the ability to help so many people on so many different levels help themselves. Because when it boils down to it, we are not the ones going, here you go, I'm going to heal you. We do that, but we always love to empower people to heal themselves. And that's so empowering when we do something good for ourselves, rather than saying, fix me, to say, wow, I can fix myself.
Yeah, it reminds me, Nate. I don't know if I ever shared this story with you, but back around March of 2020, right before the pandemic really took off and everything started happening, I got a download one day. I was reading Greg Braden's book, Divine Matrix, in my apartment in Paris, and I was just like enjoying my evening, watching the Eiffel Tower sparkle. And I read this one line in Greg's book that says, the square root of 1% of the population meditating at the same time can shift the consciousness of the planet. And all
Yes.
of a sudden, it was like bells went off, ding, 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 ding. So I called Deepak, Heart Math, Awake TV. I started calling everybody I knew. I said, guys, we need to do a global meditation. And we got hundreds of thousands of people together around the world to go do this. Well, around that day, I had called Deepak and he knew the Dalai Lama. And he said, oh, Jennifer, I'm going to ask the Dalai Lama if he can join us. And so that night, as after I had spoken with everybody about this event we were going to do, I went into a meditative state and, like we were saying, mysticism and altered states of consciousness. And I said, Your High Holiness, I was in this altered state and reached out to the Dalai Lama's consciousness. I said, we would love to have you join us, for this event on March 9th that Deepak is going to reach out to you about. And I just wanted to extend my personal invitation, metaphysically, albeit.
Yeah.
And so I go into this, and His High Holiness responds and says, well, thank you so much, Jennifer. You don't need the formalities. And I really appreciate you thinking of me, though I won't be able to join you. It was going to be around 12:30 or 1:30 a.m. India time.
Mhm.
And he said, however, one really important thing I invite you to consider before you put on this event is, why are you doing it? If you're doing it from a place that you're considering that the world needs to be fixed and is broken, you
Mhm.
won't be able to make the difference that you want to make.
Right.
However, if you see the world as whole and complete and yourself as whole and complete, it is only from that place that you'll be able to make the difference you want. And I think that's what you were just saying there, Nate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when so many people may feel like they are broken or they are ill, sometimes it's hard to see the picture when you're inside the frame. It's hard to see the frame when you're inside the picture, right?
Yeah.
And so to be able to have techniques that you can actually make strides to see, oh, okay, here's the entire painting, but also understand what it is to be the painting rather than just out of body experience or disembodied or 50,000 foot view where you're completely subjective, excuse me, completely objective, to understand the entire interbalance of the subjective and the objective and to be able to work from that space. Absolutely right. And to be able, so part of being able to see yourself as whole is to feel that you can be whole. And
Mm.
for a lot of people, that's just, they have to imagine really, really hard because they might be really ill, or maybe they just can't see their way into these business negotiations, or maybe they're really struggling with their family and communicating and uh, having an emotional bond, an energetic bond with their family members, or, I mean, you name it, it's the human condition. So we may have those things that will maybe be difficult for us and be contrast for us to be able to see that. And, if we're feeling ourselves there, that is much better than just trying to imagine and visualize ourselves there. Because as we know, that isn't nearly as effective when it comes down to manifestation as feeling and knowing and being that wholeness. And so absolutely empowering one's physical body, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic selves helps us get to that point of seeing and being and feeling ourselves as whole so much more than if we just kind of imagine it. A lot of people do that, and it doesn't, they want it so much, but they're looking from a place of lack, like you said.
So true, Nate. Well, on that note, Nate, are there any takeaways or anything that I didn't have an opportunity to ask you about today that you would love to leave our listeners or our viewers with today?
Yes. Well, about 5 hours worth, but we're not going to do that. And so
In 30 seconds,
instead,
I know, just teasing.
yes, yes. So I would recommend for everyone to be very cognizant of your breath and your breathing, and to really breathe deeply into your body, in through your nose, out through your mouth, or in through your nose, out through your nose. Because according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 8 people will die from air pollution. 1 in 8. That's, I mean, just what we're doing to our planet and the environment. Our bodies are not designed to deal with these stressors. And so being very cognizant of this, including that over 200 different health conditions have been linked to improper breathing, just alone. And this has been known for 100 plus years, or they're going back about 100 years. So to focus on your breathing, to get this free gift, to look at our breath awareness mastery course and the different things that we have online. But also, we have, if people really want to dive in and they want to go for a full 5-day immersion and go into a truly superhuman realm for themselves and start to uncover their own hidden talents, they can see that all on our website. And so, breathe deep, breathe slow, breathe on purpose, enjoy your life, be conscious of your decisions, and try to, if you're, well, as it comes available to you, be aware, meaning not judgmental, just aware. And that's a very Buddhist precept there. But when you're aware, you can't think at the same time. You can't talk and listen at the same time. That's part of it. And when we're aware, we actually get to see more of what is rather than what we project onto the world. And I can tell you, when you're in that state, the world's a lot more beautiful.
I couldn't agree more. I remember when COVID happened, Nate, I came across Wim Hof's style of breathing and had started practicing that among many other things when I was quarantining. And it
Yeah.
is so powerful when we look at all of the science out there, the science of heart math and getting into state of coherence. And it all ties in really to our breath and
Yeah.
to our conscious awareness, as my friend Arthur Samuel Joseph calls it. The more that we bring conscious awareness to our words, our thoughts, our voice, our ability to breathe and to be with ourselves and to be with another human being, it's from that place that we're really able to connect to the wholeness of who we are and the gestalt of who we are as human beings. And so, Nate, one last thing, if you wouldn't mind, just remind people again where they can get the free gift and what the website is.
Yes, it's so the thank you. The website is Vibra, so Vibra Vision, so vibravision.com. And at the bottom is a free gift. And to take that a step further, if you want to see even more, we have an immersion page. It'll tell you all about our immersions. And then I have a special private page for anybody that goes there for our immersions. It will tell you all about them. And it's vibravision.com/Nate, Nate. And it has footage on there that we've never released before in 20 plus years. And I just released it like 2 weeks ago. So it's brand
Yeah,
new.
I saw it. I really loved it.
Awesome.
So I
Thank you.
definitely encourage people to check that out again, vibravision.com or vibravision/Nate.
Vibravision.com. Yeah. /Nate. Yep. Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Nate, for joining us today. And thank you for
Thank you.
each one of you tuning in from wherever and whenever in the world that you're tuning in from. If you're also interested in meeting your energetic match, you can go to om-heals, again, om-heals.com. We just had a user the other day who matched perfectly with a healer, and he had never done energy medicine before in his life, and he was a perfect algorithmic match to a healer in Australia. It was so good, he booked 5 immediate sessions afterwards. So you can find out who your top 3 matches are for free by clicking Get Matched at om-heals.com. And one person at a time, we're all going to come into energetic alignment with the trueness and the wholeness of who we each are as human beings. So, whatever your modality is, be it vibravision, energy healing, all of the beautiful forms of complementary and alternative medicine out there, we invite you to begin the journey. Explore what does wholeness mean to you and go out into the world and express that. I'm Jennifer Cahill, and it's been a pleasure having you here today. Thank you.